So this was a 56 boat electric only tournament on a pretty sizable lake in Virginia. It's kind of far from my house, so I don't get to fish it as often as I would like to, but I have enough experience there that I feel pretty confident usually when they have tournaments, and I try to make it out there if there's a chance for me to both enjoy one of my favorite lakes and make a bit of cash. Jumped in this tournament, and I had a pretty solid day. Didn't catch a ton of fish, but I caught some really nice ones. It was pretty exciting because I was getting few enough bites that it really kept me on my toes. So there were a couple fish holding on this object out in front of this intake. I don't know what it is, and there weren't that many fish. I think there were 3 on it, and I could not get them to commit to a jerkbait, but they would swim away from this object when they could hear my jerkbait. And unfortunately for them, LiveScope is advanced enough that I was actually able to pull these fish away from this structure they were sitting on, and before they were able to swim back to it, I cut them off with an Alabama rig, and it worked. Yeah, buddy. Big old freaking hammer spot. That's a hammer. So that was actually my second fish of the morning. I'd caught another spot of similar size. Both of those were north of 3.5 pounds. Caught the first one on a crankbait, and then that last one that you saw, my GoPro was cold, so it shut off on me. But after that, I couldn't get anything else going in that area, so I moved around and started to fish some shallow points with a jerkbait, because that's usually a good technique this time of year on that body of water. Dang it. Dang it. So I got off to a quick start with those 2 nice spotted bass, and I was pretty encouraged by that. And then things got really, really bad for a while. I spent a couple hours moving around fishing stumps, points, brush piles, and I was watching bass swim up out of brush piles and stumps and nose up on my jerkbait and not commit to it. And this water was in the 48 to 50 degree range, so those fish absolutely should have been committing to it in that temperature. That's probably one of the best baits for that water temperature, especially on this lake. And I tried other baits because I can see how these fish react, and on other baits they wouldn't even look at it. It's, you know, it's not like, oh, I should have been dragging something, because when I did that, just nothing happened. The fish just, you know, they acted like the bait was not there. So I kept moving around, and my head was kind of, my wheels were spinning. I wasn't sure what to do. One hook. Don't want to freaking get my hooks in the net. Alright. Oh, that took a lot. Finally got one to eat it. And he is not a big one. So that was my third fish, and I think I was probably 3 hours into my day at that point. You can tell I was not too jazzed about that fish, because I know from my experience on that lake, I should have been catching lots of fish that size already, especially doing what I was doing and seeing as many fish as I was seeing on that forward sonar. So right now what you're looking at, I'm on a flat that's out in the middle of the lake. This lake has pretty strange topography, a pretty strange layout. Lots of flats and humps and stuff in places where you would not expect them. But anyway, so I'm out on one of those flats. I'm in about 5 feet of water, and I can see a lot of fish moving around. It's where I just caught that one on the jerk bait, and I tried experimenting with some different baits, you know, a little 3-inch swim bait. I picked up a 1/4-ounce rattle trap. I think I tried a crankbait. I can't remember, but I just couldn't get them to go on anything. So I was becoming pretty frustrated with watching these fish refuse my baits on forward sonar. And not only was I doing that, I was watching other boats fish the same spots that I wanted to fish. So they're pressuring the fish that already don't want to bite. You know, I was fishing for fresh fish when I started that did not want to bite. It wasn't like they had been pressured already. I moved over to some of the lake's very vast riprap banks. They go forever. And there's certain little key stretches, but it was tough enough that I was just running every inch of it that I could just to see if I could come up with another crankbait bite.
Like one big piece of carbon fiber fiberglass on the entire hull of the boat. Basically, it just immediately caught water and ripped it off, and ripped off all the patches we had put on before with it. So.
Dang.
So, I don't know. Maybe you put a
oh, dude, I have a
flex tape.
I got one. I'm fishing a tournament, by the way.
Oh, shoot. Where are you?
The spotted bass lake, and I just got another hammer spotted bass.
What tournament are you fishing?
It's an electric only tournament on that lake I've always told you about.
Nice.
This is the 4th bass I've caught today. The bite is really not good. Dude, there's so many fish that I can see on live scope, like jerkbait fish and whatever, and they will just not commit.
Will they follow your stuff?
Yes, dude, they follow it aggressively.
Huh.
And then they don't eat it. I don't understand it.
Blows my mind sometimes.
Oh, man.
What does it take to win there normally?
I bet it'll take over 20 today. Sorry, back to your thing.
Now I'm back at that same spot at that intake, fishing that piece of structure that I caught the first fish in the video on. I started with the Alabama rig because these fish had only chased a jerkbait and, you know, committed to the A rig. So I figured I would start with the A rig, but evidently they were in a different mood this time around. It took me a minute to figure that out.
Okay, let's get on the jerkbait.
Generally speaking, forward sonar or no forward sonar, if you're throwing at fish and they are chasing your bait and not committing to it, you need to change something, or it's just you need to leave those fish alone. However, these fish, I know they're spotted bass, I know they're good sized fish. Even though I'm seeing them look at my bait and not eat, spotted bass are a little more aggressive in general. I thought maybe I could get one to connect. What's really crazy about this is how far these fish would chase this bait, and you would never know this without forward sonar.
Stay on their fish. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Yes. Hammer. Oh, that's a lot of work to catch these things. There we go. Nice one.
So despite the fish being very tough to get to actually commit to baits on this day, I was fortunate enough to now have 4 spotted bass in my live well, all of them over 3 pounds, and 1 small largemouth, you know, less than 2 pounds. And I knew that fish has got to go if I want to stand any chance at making some money today. And I was like, well, I've caught 2 nice spotted bass on a crankbait, and there's tons of riprap. Let me just go run a bunch of this riprap again. So I did that for over an hour, didn't get any bites. Decided that I was going to go devote some time to looking for a big largemouth, because what I'm fishing now, I could catch largemouth, but I decided I better just go ahead, since I had, still had a good bit of time left. Decided let's go look for a big largemouth, because if I can get rid of a 2-pound largemouth with a 5-pound largemouth, that is way better than a 3-pound spot. So for whatever reason, when the fish are pre-spawn in this lake, even when the water's still pretty cold, they like to get up really, really shallow on some points. And we have this goofy technique that we call raking a jerkbait. We kind of joke about it, but you're literally raking the jerkbait across the point. And I don't know why it works. There's not many places that it does work, but this is one of them. We've caught a lot of nice fish, largemouth and spots both, doing that. So there was a little shallow point that stuck out on this spot, and I was able to see where the end of it was with that forward sonar. I couldn't see because it was that shallow, but I saw where to put my bait. And you're about to see that raking in action. Just watch my rod. My jerkbait is in the bottom.
Please be a bass. Oh gosh. Stay on their fish. One hook. One hook. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes. Yes.
And even more supporting evidence for this raking the bottom with a jerkbait technique, that fish is hooked underneath the chin, which probably means that she pinned it to the bottom. Very strange technique, but it works.
We got a dang sack now. Got a dang sack now. Thanks for playing, buddy. They're still freaking in there. Gosh dang it. I don't know if he's gonna help. I don't think he's gonna help. Well, I didn't get that on video, but it's not bad for only missing one fish catch. That's a big spot there. Yeah, he should definitely get rid of that one. Oh yeah, 3 1/4. Amazing. Him.
My apologies for not getting better footage of that big largemouth. I cut my camera off when I put him in the bottom of the boat and just forgot to get some video of it. It was a beautiful fish. Weighed 588 on the tournament scale and really helped me out with my bag. And that spot that I caught, that was the last fish that culled for me for the day, he was suspended over top of a brush pile in about 12 feet of water by himself, but I got him. And caught one more that you're about to see right before check-in, but that was all she wrote for me.
Gosh dang it.
You can see everybody's getting ready to check in right here. Honestly, there were times when it felt like this is what you were fishing around during the day. It never got this bad, but pre-spawn, I guess those fish are just more grouped up, so people end up fishing closer together, because I've fished when it's not pre-spawn and it's not like that. So my 5 fish on the day weighed in at 19.64 pounds, 4 spots and a largemouth, and that put me in second place. accompanied by a nice $825 cash envelope, which I'm a big fan of. I think the entry was $60 on that, so that was a very good turnaround for me. First place had 20.04 pounds, so I was pretty close to that, but I never lost any fish, so I don't really feel like I missed out on anything. I was just super pumped to have caught what I caught, especially fishing by myself. The guys that won also had 4 spots in a largemouth, and their largemouth was not their big bass. So super cool that we were both able to do so well on this fishery and have a lot of spotted bass in our bag. Really fun day. Hopefully I will get out there again this year and fish another one of these tournaments. It is a very fun lake, and I'm always glad to head on down that way.